I kind of cheated today. Today, the title of today's talk is Uplifting Talk. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to do a talk about laughter. All right, everybody laugh. Anyhow. I wanted to start by acknowledging something I rarely do, or don't do often enough. I want to thank my family, who have supported me in this ministry and my life and shown up actually to this center more often than I have. They've got me by a couple of Sundays. You are a blessing, and I love you. And you are a blessing, and I love you. And you are a blessing, and I love you. And my son's off camping with the Boy Scouts this weekend, but he's a blessing too. He's our usual video guy. See, it's important what Don Miguel was talking about when we have the ability to change how we feel and how others feel about us and how they feel about themselves with the simple speaking of a word. We have the other ability as well to create disharmony, to create pain. But we have a choice about that. You see, our word is an expression of our intention, and it is emanating from within us, that life within us as a response to what we see around us sometimes. Sometimes what it can be is that expression of anger and fear and all of the things that can challenge us in life, and we respond defensively. Perhaps we throw around words that disparage others or might be intended to hurt. What Don Miguel talks about is black magic, where we take the feeling that we have, the poison that's in us, and we spew it out into the world so that others feel the same pain that we feel. Or we have the possibility to connect with someone with just a simple word of thank you, or I respect you, or I appreciate you, or I see the beauty in you. And all of a sudden that life changes in a more positive direction. You see, the word has power. It has always had power. Throughout human history, people, human beings have recognized that the word is power. We recognize it so much that we built it into our religions. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Let there be light, and there was light, in the Christian tradition. There are other traditions that also bring that idea of the power of the word of a God, or the Spirit, or the Creator, in bringing about this life that we live. And we are the individual expressions of that power right now, by virtue of the consciousness that we have, by virtue of the awareness that we have of the power we have to affect our world, our experience, our life. There are many examples of people who have changed entire societies by the power of their word throughout history. There's two that I like using in juxtaposition to each other, really, because they really stand that way. Okay, there was Martin Luther King Jr., who brought about through the power of his word and the understanding of the truth of the equality of all people, an idea that has moved forward. It is not complete by any way, shape, or form in a harmony of a more equal and just world. But by the very power of his world, hundreds of thousands were moved to change their experience of life, to change their ideas of life, and it has permeated and saturated our culture where we are not yet there, but it is moved so far from where it was when he first spoke those words of I have a dream. And the reverse of that is someone who was equally as powerful, who was an orator and speaker of great potency, who moved an entire nation to hate and war. And that would be Hitler. The power of the word. He started as a politician in the middle of nowhere with no backing whatsoever and realized that the power of his word could change people's minds. And he brought together an entire country and pushed it over the edge of insanity into violence and war by the power of his word. And so we have this choice. And Dave, I'm going to need a card because I don't know what I did with the one I gave. Thank you. So we have a choice always about how we're using our word. And a lot of times what we're doing is we're sleepwalking through the day. We say things that we, quote, don't mean, or that we didn't think about when we said them. And what this becomes is this idea of becoming impeccable with your word for the purpose of good in your life is to be aware of our speaking, because our speaking is a representation of our intentions. And it starts often with how we think and feel about ourselves. See, the attitude that we are carrying around with us is what's coloring our vision of the world and our interactions that we have and who we run into and how we respond to them. So if I got up on a grumpy side of the bed in the morning, not that that ever happens to me, I am always pleasant. I was waiting for the family cheer on that one, right?
That would be correct.
But when I get on, so I have to drive to my day job a little bit, so I get on the road, and if I'm in an unpleasant mood because I just woke up in an unpleasant mood and didn't bother to do what I usually do in the morning, which is to meditate, to change myself into being right here and right now, to get in a peaceful place before going out into the world, then I'll be out there going, bless you, on the road. Not necessarily a good thing. The aggravation builds up in me and other people are driving like idiots, while I'm trying to speed past them, when they're being too slow, but that's a reflection of the attitude that I woke up with and never was unmindful of changing. So it begins within us and how we feel about ourselves in the day and how we feel the day is going to treat us. And this is our intention. So if we stop to set our intention in the morning and set ourselves towards, I'm going to have a wonderful day. I'm going to recognize the truth in everybody I see and everybody I encounter, that they too are an individual aspect of a divine idea brought into this moment. They are alive today so that they too can experience life. When I get into that frame of mind and I tell myself that I am going to recognize the good that's happening to me in today's world, then all of a sudden I'm all peaceful on the road. I get to work and things are happy and I go about my day in a much better way. And we each have the choice to do that every single day. And in sometimes multiple times in a day, because sometimes challenging events will go on in our day that will end up bringing us back to an idea of, wait a minute, I reminded myself that I was going to be peaceful and happy and prosperous and joyous this morning. Part of that is whether or not we actually believe what we're saying. So I'm going to say something. I want you to repeat it after me. It's on a little card that was in your program. So let's start. I am worthy.
I am worthy.
How's that feel? Resonate true? Was there a little niggling thing in the back of the world, in the back of the head said, oh, I don't really deserve this? If not, great. I am prosperous.
I am prosperous.
True? Really? Just ask yourself. I mean, if it is, it's great, it's wonderful, that's good. Good place to be. But if there's this part of your mind that says, yeah, but those bills are coming up. Mortgages due. I don't know where that's coming from. How are we going to go on vacation next year? However that is. Pay for schools. However that is. Maybe that's in the back of your mind. Maybe that's hanging around out there. Something to think about, something to look at. I am enough.
I am enough.
Okay. Once again, just ask yourself, do you feel that? Is that always how you feel? Able to deal with the challenges brought up to you? Okay, I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I don't have any problem with that one.
Okay.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Yeah. That can be a tough one sometimes. When we say, I am powerful, and you look around and say, yeah, but that person tells me what to do, and these people are doing things I don't like, and it doesn't seem like what I do can have any impact on the world. But that's actually not the truth. Each one of us has the ability to impact our lives, and therefore impact the lives we encounter. And that can start a ripple effect, for good or bad. We get to choose. I am gifted.
I am gifted.
All creative people say that. But that was a different talk. Each one of us has gifts, and each one of us has a unique set of abilities, of talents. Sometimes it takes a long time to find them. Other ones are very apparent, like young Alyssa here, who is just absolutely a smashing musician, which is fantastic, you know? But reminding ourselves when we're not feeling up to it, when these other things don't seem to be true, of the gifts and talents that we've been given to do, whatever they are that we're good at, that we love to do, is often a good way to turn that around a little bit. And finally, I am loved.
I am loved.
And in this group, I don't think I need to worry about that one. You are loved. If nobody's told you today, let me be the first. I love you. I love you because I know who you are. Not the specifics of who your personality is and what you've done with your life or who you've been, but I know that you and you and you are all an embodiment of this idea of life, and therefore are the potential of the divine expressed into this moment. Just the way you're supposed to be. Just the way you are. And that's the perfection of it. So when we talk about uplifting talk, sometimes it's good to recognize for ourselves and to remind ourselves that I am all these things. Not because of what I have done in the past, not because of what I might do in the future, but just because of who I am. You see, all of those are aspects of this divine presence. All of those are what are embodying in us as that divine presence in a person. And so all of us have these within us. And there might be flip sides to those, as that little niggling voice in the back of the head might remind us. However, the presence of those is guaranteed by the very potential that they might be there. So when we begin to speak our word, where we're speaking it from is really important. And sometimes it helps to remind ourselves that we are these things. I am worthy and prosperous, enough, beautiful, powerful, gifted, and loved, before we begin speaking. Because then there's the opportunity for us to see that in the person we're engaging with. So there's a little challenge I'm going to give you this week to take out there into the world. If the best place to do this is Wawa, my favorite place for the communication of compassion. Wawa has generated the best, absolutely the best culture of courtesy. I don't know, go watch it sometime. Everybody holds the door. No, after you.
Yeah.
The line opens up and says, oh, you're carrying, oh no, you go first. I'm only getting this, it's all right. You know, and there's money on the floor. Always. Just look, you know. So when you go into the next transaction you have with somebody, you know, we can usually sleepwalk through this. Oh, thank you very much. You know, if you don't take my change and all, you go, right? Take a moment and actually look the person in the face and say thank you, and see what kind of response you get. Now, there's a couple of different ways people generally aren't used to actually looking somebody in the eyes and saying thank you. You know, we kind of just pass it. Well, thank you very much. Bye. You know. But when we stop and realize that what we're having right there is a sacred encounter, by very nature of two spiritual beings have engaged one another, even though it seems like it's in a very mundane kind of way, there's an opportunity there to reach deeper into that experience and into each experience, and to recognize the connection of our humanity as each other, as an expression of this divine spark of life that can bring about just an incredible feeling inside of connectivity with a simple thank you. And you don't have to put your entire life into it. But when you put your presence into it, it changes things. It's the power of our simple word to uplift a moment in someone else's life, and so we get uplifted as well. We move at a higher vibration. We experience a greater sense of unity and beingness in ourselves when we actively engage other people. There's a couple of caveats that go with this, besides the wah-wah thing. You can actually try that anywhere. It really works. Is when we can bring ourselves to be aware and awake, and we reach out to the person who seems to be desperate. And sometimes just recognition is enough to change a whole life. To stop the sleepwalking, to recognize that. And if we do that more and more, then we have a better life to live. And as we can see here, there's ample opportunity here, even in the prosperity of the United States, which is an incredibly prosperous place, given the rest of the world and things that are going on in other places, that there are opportunities to uplift and connect with people who feel disempowered and disenfranchised. And it's actually kind of our responsibility, because we're all one. Here's the trick about being all one, though. So if our word carries power, and it is an expression of our intention, and the universe, which is what we call the law, acting as law, has only one response, which is yes, since the very beginning, then what we say matters. And it matters what we say when we're not face to face. Okay, so the universe is saying yes. And let's say I've been good all day and I've been saying nice things to the people I meet and I'm running around, but I get into my car and I'm all alone and I get on the road and I start a little tirade in my mind. Perhaps I verbalize that. That power is still carried into the world. So what we've done is we've added to the black magic, as Don Miguel likes to call it. We've added a negativity to the world, whether or not the person that we happen to be thinking about at the time is present. Because we believe that there is a universal law that is always active. It can't be active only when we want it to be active. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a principle. It is always responding to us. So when we're sitting there, maybe at our desk, grumbling under our breath about the activities of other divine embodiments of spiritual truth, perhaps acting badly, then we are too adding to the negativity that brings the vibration of our world down, that brings the experience of our world down. So it's a good thing to keep in mind that when we voice those little complaints, even when we're doing it by ourselves and alone, some people call it venting or whatever, it's actually adding to the burden that we all carry to getting to this place of joy and happiness and love and universal equality and all of the other goods that are available to us in the infinite potential of life. It's a good thing to keep in mind. So as we interact with each other, face to face, or via phone, or Skype, or any one of those other technologies that I haven't caught up with yet, Skype's about as far as I ever got. Remember that we are also radiating the intention that we are setting. Haven't you ever noticed that when somebody's angry, you can feel their anger from across the room? One look at their face and body language, and it's like, well, I don't want to go near them. We're doing that too. So we have an opportunity, which is our word on the internal part, to set an intention to express love, to be a joyous expression of love, to be a beneficial presence. And we radiate that too. And quite often it can counteract that negative feeling that someone else may be having just by the very presence. On the other hand, perhaps it's just a word of appreciation to make someone else's life and day go a little bit better today. Okay, so back to our cards. Instead of saying I want you to look at someone else. Love this part. Look at someone else and say, you are worthy
You are worthy.
You are worthy.
Now someone else. You are prosperous.
You are prosperous.
You are enough.
You are more than enough. I'm sorry.
You are beautiful.
You are beautiful.
You are powerful.
You are powerful.
You are gifted.
You are gifted.
You are loved.
You are loved.
See how that makes you feel? I mean, stop a moment and really check in with the feelings. Even while we're just sitting here on Sunday morning talking, words coming out of our mouths, to doing what I've asked you to do. But there's something in me that when I say these things, I feel uplifted. I feel just a little better. And maybe the possibility of believing these aren't so hard because I've had validation. And it doesn't have to be a lot of validation. It doesn't have to be somebody fawning on you and saying, oh, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's just the recognition that the potential of us being the same is there. That within, we are all some aspect of this spiritual life expressing itself. So as you go around your week, about your day, remember that the person you're looking at is also the person you're looking from. Think about that for a little bit. That when I'm looking at somebody else, what I'm tending to see is how I feel. And if I feel good and open and compassionate and loving, I'm going to tend to see something good and compassionate and open and loving. And I'm not saying go out there and be naive, really. We live in the world today. But be open enough to recognize the situations around us and the opportunities that we have to create a better life, to be the good that we wish to see in the world, and to create more good around us by being that good, by bringing that idea that each one of us is worthy and prosperous and enough and beautiful and powerful and gifted and loved. And maybe they just need to be reminded. Because it brings more good into the world. And that's what brings more good into the world. So I invite you one last time with a we. We are worthy.
We are worthy.
We are prosperous.
We are prosperous.
We are enough.
We are enough.
We are beautiful.
We are beautiful.
We are powerful.
We are powerful.
We are gifted.
We are gifted.
And we are loved.
And we are loved.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Namaste.